So what exactly are emotions? Well, they're energy in motion, emotions. They're a composition of biological signals. Human beings' bodies react according to their emotions, and as a consequence, sweaty palms emerge. That's why they're called emotions, as stated by Alan Watkins. In a room full of 100 people, the great majority would be able to recognize approximately 10 emotions, but in reality, there are about 34,000 emotions, and this can be seen as a whole universe with its own galaxies centered in different areas. This much variety makes people feel lost and not really understand or control how they feel. Alright, but if you don't know where you are, how can you possibly control any of your personal stuff? Basing one's life with emotional blindness can lead to a troublesome future. Not being able to recognize how you feel prevents you from attaining that sense of ownership and understanding of people in your surroundings, lacking connection. This is when concepts such as emotional proximity are introduced, basically centered on how an individual can be emotionally linked to a place due to an event that has happened, usually traumatic. In case of being emotionally blind, you can experience or you cannot experience emotional proximity nor empathy.
So, how is this a way of knowing? Well, knowledge is a little bit like a map. Knowledge helps us to understand the world around us, and just as we have different maps to help us understand the different parts of the physical world. In order to attain this sort of knowledge, there are different types of ways of knowing, including emotions. Emotions can be considered tools that allow human beings to generate connections with one another or with other things. It's also often the case that we know things emotionally, but with more certainty than by any other way of knowing. For example, it's usually very hard to reason someone out of being in love or being very sad. As the book states, emotions sometimes are the most reliable source when it comes to knowledge. This can be seen in the way we feel towards other individuals. With the example of being in love, there's no tool or resource that allows you to explain how you feel besides your very own emotions. It becomes a way of knowing mainly because it's still a method that allows us to obtain knowledge, but not necessarily centered in facts. The knowledge that emotions provide is mostly directed towards personal comprehension, which is understanding ourselves in order to understand the people surrounding us.
Emphasizing the feelings of the artist was the main characteristic of this era, from any form of literature to paintings. Even in architecture, the usage of emotive language was mostly applied in a way in which the structure itself evoked nostalgia or even respect. Romanticism found a way to include emotions in science. In this time period, Sir Humphrey Davy once said that nature required an altitude of admiration, love, and worship. Romanticism was an era where even science was willing to incorporate emotions, excluding the idea of having a biased perspective. Understanding another individual or ourselves is understanding why we feel how we feel, what made us feel like that, and what can be done to avoid feeling like this in the future. The combination of our emotions is what allows us to have a harmonious mental functioning and overall happiness. Relying on one emotion can lead an individual to learn aspects from him or herself, and the knowledge obtained out of emotions can be centered in arts or even humans' comprehension. The movie Inside Out is based on Paul Ekman's theory of emotions. He states that there are 7 basic emotions, but only 5 were featured in the movie. Among these are fear, disgust, sadness, joy, anger, surprise, and contempt. These basic emotions have basic facial expressions as well. If the world was ruled by apathy, facial expressions and the usage of emotions will be pointless. But people learn to develop their empathy, encouraging a better capacity of connection with others. In the world that we live in, we don't usually let ourselves go by what we feel, but mostly for what is logical to the great majority or just to ourselves. Because of this, emotions can be underrated due to their lack of facts and physical proof. Sometimes it's even hard to acknowledge how emotions can be your most powerful resource. But at the end, it's all about learning how to use them and understanding them better.